Hey YouTube, this is PokeDad, and today I'm doing something a little bit different. Instead of doing a deck analysis online, I'm actually doing one using Ancient Origin proxies. I've played this deck quite a bit at League already, and it's done pretty well. It's quite an annoying deck. It's probably going to be the next Seismitoad deck, and that is Giratina, Vileplume, and friends, I guess you could say. So the main attacker is Giratina here, and we play 3 of those. Now, Giratina has an ability that allows no Mega Pokemon can damage him. So even the new Megas from this set or any Megas from the past sets cannot hurt him because of his ability. It's kind of like a safeguarder for Megas. He has one attack called Chaos Veil, and it's a very odd number. We need 4 energies. It uses 1 grass, 1 psychic, and 2 colorless. Alright, it only does 100 damage for 4 energies, but it then prevents your opponent from playing any stadiums next turn. It also prevents them from playing any special energy next turn, and it also prevents them from playing any tools cards next turn. So he's kind of like a soft lock. But when we throw in Vileplume, which is our next Pokemon, we lock all the items. So now it basically prevents our opponent from doing much other than supporters, Pokemon, and basic energy. So we play a 3-3-3 line of Oddish, Gloom, and Vileplume. Now, the whole reason to have this in the deck is to lock our opponent. That's the only thing we're trying to accomplish here. Now, I'll get to the stadium in a little bit, but Giant Plant Force is what we play, and it allows us to get turn 1 or turn 2 item locks. Usually, I would say on average 75% of the time. Now, it doesn't always happen, but it happens quite often. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about why that happens as we get into more of the draw supporting cast. So that's why Vileplume. So Giratina does a soft lock, keeping special energies and stadiums from being played, and then Vileplume locks all items. Guys, I got to tell you right now, Vileplume, this card is when you open Ancient Origin packs, do not trade this card away. Keep it, keep it, keep it, because even in a non-Giratina deck, there are so many other applications for this. It's just crazy, and I have a feeling we're going to see lock decks a lot. Alright, now one thing about it is it does lock us also. So the item cards we play are just very few, and they're mainly just to get the Vileplume out. And I'll talk about how we handle that later on. We also have ways to unlock ourselves but not our opponent, at least temporarily. So we'll talk about that more in a minute. Now, since Giratina is a dragon type, we can use Hydreigon, and we'll play 2 of those for the Dragon Road ability. So it's really nice because if we get both Hydreigons in play, then Giratina and the Hydreigons both retreat for free as long as there's a stadium in play. And we're playing stadiums, and most likely our opponent is playing stadiums. So it just makes sense to play Hydreigon in there. Furthermore, Shred, the attack Shred does 80 damage, but it can go through any safeguarders like Beautifly, Pyroar. It can also go through Aegislash. And so we want to keep Hydreigon in here just in case we run into those. If we have Muscle Band on Hydreigon, we can do 100 damage, and that will knock out Aegislash in 2 attacks. We can knock out Beautifly in 2 attacks, and we can also knock out Pyroar with 2 attacks. We also play a lot of Lysanders in this deck, so if we need to play around them, we can. But Hydreigon's in there mainly for the safeguard-like Pokemon. Alright, We also play 2 mill tanks. Because we're getting Vileplume set up so quickly, it just makes sense to play mill tank. Because with powerful friends, 1 energy, we can hit for 100 damage if we have a muscle band on. And so mill tank just makes a great addition to this deck. Now we play 5 more Pokemon. These are all draw supporters. The first one is going to be in Ancient Origins. It's Unknown. Now Unknown is a common card. If I understand what I've seen so far, Unknown is a common card, and I'm going to tell you this is one common card that you need to hold on to as many as you can, because I can see this being played, especially with lock decks. Going to be more prevalent. I can see this card being played a lot. Unknown has the ability, we don't ever use it for its attack, but it has the ability, if you play Unknown down to the bench, you can discard it from your bench at any time and then draw another card. So if I just don't have room to play 4, but basically this is an extra card every time we get it. Unless they have something that would stop it, like a Silent Lab. Wobbuffet won't stop it because he's psychic just like Wobbuffet is, so that won't stop it. Anyway, and then the last one we have is we play 2 Shaman EX. Now Shaman is just, it's taken over for the new, it's the new Jirachi. When we get low on cards, we can play Shaman and we can grab 6. So it just helps us to get through our deck much faster. So that is our lineup of Pokemon. So let's move right into our item cards. Now, because we're going to be item locked with Vileplume, we do not play a lot of item cards. Matter of fact, the item cards are mostly to help us get the Vileplume out, whether it be to directly get the Vileplume or indirectly by getting Shamans or Unknowns. Alright, so the very first thing we do is we play 4 Ultra Balls. That's to get whatever we need. If we need to get Oddish out, we get Oddish. If we need Gloom, we get Gloom. If we need to get a Shaman out, we get Shaman. If we need Giratina, we get Giratina. Whatever we need, that's what we use the Ultra Balls for. We also play 2 Level Balls. And Level Ball allows you to grab a Pokemon that has HP 90 or less. So this will allow us to grab Oddish, Gloom, and also the Unknown. And then we can put them into play usually right away. The other thing that we use is we play 4 Trainer's Mail. And this helps us chain getting more of these, or getting a supporter that we need, or getting our giant plant forest. So we play 4 Trainer's Mail, and it just helps us get what we need as quickly as possible so we can get that turn 1 item lock possibly. We also play 3 muscle bands. Alright, now we want to, obviously we've got to get these on before the item lock occurs, but usually you can draw into 1 or 2 before the item lock occurs, and at least get Giratina hitting from instead of 100 to 120, which now hits 2 hits megas, which most of the time they won't be playing megas anyway, so you can 2-hit most of them, but it also can work on Miltank and Hydreigon to add added power to their attacks. For items, that's all we have, because again, we don't want to get too many items, because otherwise they cluster up our hand, and then we can't use our hand properly. So that's all the items we play in this deck. Next, we're going to go straight into supporters. So we play 4 Sycamores. Now, guys, I'm basing this deck totally on XY on. So you're not going to see N, you're not going to see Colress, you won't see any item cards that are not going to be at least an Ancient Origin or from XY on, basically. So Sycamore, we play 4 of those, and that's just, again, to try to get through our hand and our deck as quickly as possible. We play 2 Shauna. Alright. Shauna allows us to shuffle. Sycamore allows us to discard our hand and draw 7 more. Shauna, shuffle your hand into your deck and only draw 5. So Shauna is decent, but not as good as Sycamore most of the time. Now this card that I'm about to show you is the one that's going to probably throw a lot of people for a loop. And you're going to say why, okay? But it actually works, okay? We play 2 Tierno. Now Tierno allows you just to draw 3 cards. That's it. So in most people say though, if you played Tierno or Sharon, which were, you know, Sharon's rotated now, but Tierno isn't. Tierno allows you to draw 3 cards, but why draw 3 when you can draw 7, right? However, in this deck, we have a lot of puzzle pieces. And if we just discard everything with Sycamore, we lose those puzzle pieces. Tierno, a lot of times, let's say we've got 6 cards in our hand and we draw 3 more. Tierno is usually that glue that allows us to draw 3 cards that can get that item lock out right away. So maybe we have an Oddish and we have a Vileplume, but we don't have the Gloom and we don't have the Giant Plant Forest. We can play, if we use Sycamore, we discard those 2 resources. But if we play Tierno, we draw 3 and we just might draw into a Level Ball, a Gloom, a Plant Forest. We might draw into an Ultra Ball or a Trainer's Mail, and then we can continue the chain going. Or maybe we draw into an Unknown, which allows us to draw another card, or a Shaman, which allows us to draw more. And so the idea here is Tierno is going to help us fill in the missing pieces. Matter of fact, in some decks that I've seen people run 4 Tiernos and no Shaunas. I don't prefer that. I prefer to just kind of split it. But Tierno is a pretty valuable card in this deck. Alright, we play 3 Lysanders. And Lysander, we're not playing any VS Seekers. So we have to have 3 Lysanders in this deck. Because we don't want our opponent just retreating and just keep retreating. We want to be able to bring them back and finish them off. So Lysander, extremely, extremely important. Alright, we play 2 AZ. Now this is what unlocks our deck. For us only, but not for our opponent. So we get the Vileplume out, and later on, let's say we have more muscle bands, or we need to get another Giratina out, or we need to get something else out, and we have a Level Ball in our hand, or a Ultra Ball, or we have Trainer's Mail in our hand, because we're not going to go through all of them right away. AZ, as long as Giant Plant Forest is still in play, AZ allows you to grab the Oddish, Gloom, and Vileplume, put them back into your hand, play all your item cards, and then put them back down and lock the deck again. Again, because of the Giant Plant Forest. So AZ is our unlocking mechanism. So we just play 2. Now, oftentimes we don't need to do that. Matter of fact, in some games I don't ever need to unlock. But if there's ever a case where you do need to, AZ is available. And that finishes our supporter line. We'll now go into the energy and talk about the energy. Alright? Now, because Giratina has a high cost, we have to play, and he's a dragon, we have to play 4 double dragon energy. That's a given. Alright? Now, the thing about this is we can use 2 of these to power up Giratina. We prefer not to. We prefer just to use 1 and then use a double colorless. We play 3 of the double colorless, and so you can see we can power up Giratina with a double dragon and a double colorless. Also, we can power up Hydreigon with a double dragon and a double colorless. Alright? So both of those can get powered up. Shaman can get powered up with the double colorless if we happen to need that, and sometimes we start with Shaman. So we have that available for Shaman to get out of the active spot. We also play 2 grass energy. Now, very rarely are you going to have to play with Vileplume. If you do, you're really in trouble, because you would need both grass and a double colorless to be able to use Vileplume's attack. So, we don't use that, but we do have Miltank. So this can power up Miltank in 1 turn to use Powerful Friends, or we can combine these 2 together, and we can power up Hydreigon for an attack. So either way, we can get Hydreigon with 1 of each of these, or with 1 of each of these. Or in very, very rare cases, you could power up Giratina with a double dragon and 2 grass. That's going to be very, very rare, though. This is mostly for Miltank and Hydreigon. So that's all the energies we play. And then the last thing I have for you is just the stadium. And the stadium, oh, sorry about that. The stadium is just 4 giant plant forests. And that's all we have for the stadium. Again, if I haven't already mentioned it, Giant Plant Force allows your grass Pokemon, the evolution before, if it's grass, can evolve immediately with Giant Plant Force. So that means if you have a basic in play that's grass, you can evolve it to a stage 1. If the stage 1 is grass, then you can evolve it to stage 2. And this is what allows us to get the Vileplume lockout on turn 1 sometimes, because we can then just play all 3 of them down because we have the Giant Plant Force. Anyway, guys, this is PokeDad. I hope you like the deck profile. Give me your thoughts, your comments, any questions you have, and we'll talk to you later. PokeDad signing out. Bye.